It was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be
forward.
like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have
Corrupt
sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
Hi, my name is Lishay Carlson. I'm a research and editor for Street Talk TV.
I'm Sina Zompotulo. I'm a third-year nursing student at UWC, and I am a poet and an aspiring motivational speaker.
And I am Tony Fredericks. I like to call myself an activist on the ground, and I touch anything and everything that nobody else wants to touch. Any problems, any challenges, my opportunity to bring change.
For me, I have a weak immune system, so I take my vitamin tablets every day. I drink my lemon and ginger. I drink all of those things that they told us to drink during lockdown and things like that. So it's like I want to take the vaccine because I know I have a weak immune system, but then the negatives about the vaccine, taking the vaccine shot is also like kind of messing with my head a little bit. So I'm a little bit caught in between that, the whole getting the vaccine thing.
As I've mentioned, a first-line worker. I'm a nursing student, so that means I am working with a lot of people. And I personally been longing for a vaccine before it even got here. So when it got here, I was like excited to get my dose, and knowing that I'm protected, it gives ease to my anxiety.
Look, I was in the middle of it all because as a community leader, remember, I've been feeding thousands of people daily since before lockdown. And I actually had to experience how people died every single day. And, you know, it touched me deeply because you see, the COVID didn't give people the opportunity. It still does not give people the opportunity to even greet one another. Because when it decides it's you, then it's going to take you. And this was the early experiences of COVID. And so for me as a community leader, as somebody that is there to serve the community, and for us it was even more difficult than anybody else because there was nothing in place when COVID came, and yet the community needed to eat. Big established institutions closed their doors, and we were forced to say, we will feed you because we are your community leaders. In the community, we are in this together. And it really touched me to see that Auntie Sarah was in the queue this morning, and tonight suddenly yes is dead. Tomorrow somebody else is dead. And all of these people come to me. Auntie Joni, please can you help us find money for the funeral? Can you help us bury? Can you help us? Can you help us? Can you help us? And there is no government, no formal institution during this very, very early stages of COVID when people died so badly. And for me, it was just a decision. I didn't even think about myself, my personal views at that time. For me, it was a life and death decision.
In the beginning, they were saying, once you have the vaccine, once you have the shot, you're immune to COVID. But then it came out afterwards that you're not immune to it. Like you can still get sick. So people was like, what's the point? And others were like, these are conversations that I had with other friends of mine. And others were like, I've been perfectly fine without the vaccine shot, so why should I take it now? And things like that.
My ground rule would be, if you decide not to take the vaccine, you better have something that you trust. Oh, good. You better have a very solid backup plan. Because you can't be like, Hailey Mary, I'm not getting vaccinated. And for me, it shocks me to the core to know that there are people who still even believe that COVID is a scam.
You know, for me, it shocks me. You know, for me, it was purely the numbers of people that I saw dying around me every day. When I started out, when my organization started feeding, we had 31 kitchens stretched across Mitchell's Plain and Tafelse. And at some time, there was not a day that somebody didn't die of COVID at any of these stations. And obviously, for us as the people giving the food, we had this conversation because it is not fair of anybody to accept to be able to serve everybody coming from way over without protecting yourself. And so it became a personal issue that I am going to continue serving the community, but I'm going to do what is good for me. I'm going to protect myself as much as I can. Because I'm telling you, the people that come to the food queue, they don't care. Some of them has just been scratching in bins. Other people has not been able to sleep in a proper dwelling for how long. And so most of the community never even had the proper information about COVID, forget about vaccination. And so we are still struggling about getting people to sanitize and to wear masks and all of those issues. And so for us as an organization, for me as a leader, it was personally I still want to live. And I've been very selfish about it. I mean, one of the biggest issues that we have is around religion and vaccine. So the religious people will want to tell us that God says this, God says that. This is a life-saving thing for you. And if you decide it's okay for you to drink alcohol, to do all of these things to your body, then it's okay. If you decide to not be vaccinated, it is also okay. But I think it's absolutely out of order that anybody takes the right to decide for somebody else who is uninformed about these matters. Because the issue that we have in the communities is very few of us has the luxury of being able to research for ourselves because of data, internet research issues, and because of low literacy levels. And so people normally look to the leaders, they look to the news, they look to social media. And unfortunately, people who are equally ill-informed use these platforms to spew hatred and misinformation instead of using this as a platform to say, guys, we also don't know. Why don't we explore together?
Making a statement that you did not get vaccinated for any political agenda or whatsoever. You purely did it because you want to be an example and you want to be on the safe side as well. I also want to make that clear. It has nothing to do with politics or whatsoever. It was like a personal choice, and it was a matter of me knowing that I will feel safe if I do this. And this is me trying to be on the safe side, you know.
On the issue of people choosing to be vaccinated or not, I remind people that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is quite clear on freedom of choice. But I also remind people that with every freedom comes responsibility. And so while you have the choice to decide that, oh, no, fine, I'm fine, I don't want to be vaccinated, then you cannot expect that other people must open their house, their hearts, and their environments to you. Because I, as somebody that chose to be vaccinated, chose to do so to protect myself and those around me. And so I also have the right to say, you choose not to be vaccinated, and therefore we don't want you to be in our circle. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have the cake and eat it too. And that, unfortunately, is a challenge around it.
Everyone has to get to a point where they want to protect themselves and when they want to protect those around them. It shouldn't be forced for people, because now it's starting to feel like oppression. You understand? Yeah. Even me, myself, even though I voluntarily got the vaccine, it was my own goodwill. But now that people are literally getting forced to get it, it's starting to feel wrong. You understand? We should always find a proper way to address and encourage people to get the vaccine. It should not be forced. It should not be forced. You understand? It goes back to Batupele principles and everything else regarding their health. A patient has a choice. They have the right to say no. They have a right to refuse medication. You understand? So it should be like that with the vaccine as well. Now that it's getting a bit uncomfortable knowing that everyone is suddenly being forced. Now it's starting to feel wrong. Even though I am 100% for the vaccine, but let's do it in a proper way. Try, advise, and encourage people to do it. Don't force them to do it. You understand? Yeah. When you're forcing them now, it portrays a whole different message about the system, about the democracy, and about, it questions the Batupele principles that you have a right to say no to medication if you don't want it. You see? But so forcing the vaccine on people is like twisting and everything. It's coming across as bias now.
But there is this one thing that nobody must forget. That in the Bill of Rights, the only right that is absolute is the right to life. And that is something that all of us needs to consider when we have our conversations. I do not agree that anybody should be forced, even though I think that it's irresponsible for people not to be vaccinated. But now we must weigh up what the absolute absoluteness of the right to life actually mean? If we look again across the many super spreader events, and we realize that in many occasions it was one single person that entered a venue that was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people across the world. Remember that the right to life is the only one that is not absolute. So if somebody else's life depends on you being vaccinated, because this person might be somebody with a low or a weak immune system, what are we saying that? I'm saying that we should be able to debate and explore better together, because at the moment, what government is doing, they don't give the options to allow people to sit around tables and this dialogue. And I really think this type of event where people can actually sit and explore together will do much more than to tell people that if you don't have the card, you can't come in, to give people discounts and things when they can produce the card. Because this is how they lose people that might have considered to be vaccinated.
The whole thing suddenly feels political, and it looks political, and it's really bad in the eye of us, even me as a person who is vaccinated and happy with my decision. But when it comes to knowing everyone now is getting forced, and this whole thing suddenly appears like they're luring people in, it's like the propaganda, this and that, it suddenly feels wrong. It feels like, hey, like, who am I selling out? Where do I stand? You understand? I feel like it really does shift our ground as well. Like, you can't force people to get what they don't want. They should, like, going back to what Joni has said, like the right to life, right? In the process of us understanding that everyone has a right to life, and you can't preserve someone's life in jeopardy of another person's life, but you also need to understand that bodies react differently to vaccines. Even though the vaccine might not kill you, but your reaction might be different from mine or hers or whatsoever, you understand? So what if you force the person to have it and they have the worst reaction?
Exactly.
You understand?
This is why I'm saying continue having this type of conversations, where while I go around and advocate for vaccination, I am also going around bringing the experts so that they are there to answer the questions that people are struggling with. And I'm perfectly upset with the way, have you now seen nowadays with the campaigning for the local elections? Every political party has this vaccination card, and it's ugly. It doesn't taste nice, and it plays in the hands of people who are ill-informed, who don't know anything medical about vaccination, but it plays in their hands, because now they can say, you see, I told you, this is the 666. Because now people are saying, you see, to be able to enter anywhere, you need, all of those things. So I think what you are doing here is something that we all should strive and advocate, that we must have large-scale debates about this issue.
I don't know if you guys noticed, if you post anything anti-vaccine or any other information that is outside of South African articles, they take it down. That is wrong, because now you're cutting out my voice. Like, you're cutting out my voice. You see, those are the things that bring me back to saying, like, I don't know how the system is managing to twist and turn this whole thing around, but they are doing it perfect fine. They're messing things up. It's getting bad.
I would want to say that while I would like you to consider being vaccinated, it must be your personal choice, because it only feels right. It only feels okay if you decided about it. But do consider the many, many people who lost their lives, who did not have the opportunity to decide, to think about it.
My dream is to become the big sister I wanted, the person I think I wanted as a child.
My dream is for things to go back to normal.
My dream is that whatever decisions I make will always be in line with what is good, what is helpful, and what is healthy for the community, and that I would never fall into the trap of misleading the community.
Yazi. You should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong. You should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong.